One of these men spent 5 years with the Dalai Lama in the forbidden city of Tibet. What is your name, please?
My name is Heinrich Harrer.
My name is Heinrich Harrer.
My name is Heinrich Harrer.
Only one of these men is the real Heinrich Harrer. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Faye Emerson, Johnny Carson, and Kitty Carlisle. On to Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Anacin, the headache remedy with a special combination of ingredients to relieve pain, fight depression, calm jittery nerves. Anacin. Faye, nice to have you back with us tonight.
Thank you, Bud. It's nice to be back here, too.
Been far too long. Now, before we start, panel, I'm sure both you and our audience have noticed something unusual over here on our stage left. It's Maury Rose Saunders, world champion flagpole sitter, sitting on a so-called flagpole right here in our studio. Maury Rose is an old friend of ours. As a matter of fact, she appeared on To Tell the Truth a little bit over 2 years ago, I believe it was. And last Wednesday night on the I've Got a Secret show, she climbed up on that flagpole perch there of hers and has been right here in CBS Studio 52 ever since, where she will remain and come down after 5 days aloft on I've Got a Secret tonight at 10:30, when Gary Moore and his gang make their first appearance as part of the CBS Monday night schedule. So, Maury Rose, we'll all be watching at 10:30 tonight. Good luck to you.
Locked-in audience, isn't it?
Now, panel, let's get back to business at hand here. If you will, please open your envelopes, take out the affidavit cards for the first time tonight, and follow along as I read this first one. I, Heinrich Harrer, was in India on a mountain climbing expedition when World War II broke out. Being an Austrian, I was interned by the British. After 4 unsuccessful attempts to escape, I finally broke out of the prison camp and spent the next 21 months in a painful trek over the Himalaya mountains to Lhasa, the forbidden city of Tibet. I became enchanted by this fabulous city and its people. I spent much time with the Dalai Lama discussing the ways of Western civilizations. In 1951, when the Chinese communists moved on the city, I escaped with the Dalai Lama back toward India. I subsequently wrote a book which sold 2.5 million copies in 40 editions. It is called 7 Years in Tibet. Signed, Heinrich Harrer. To start things off tonight, panel, you have heard, as have I, 3 gentlemen, each one claiming to be Heinrich Harrer, who spent 7 years in Tibet and wrote a book. We'd start this first round of questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you, Bud. I think I just got an idea for a question. I was jotting little ideas down here. Number one, tell me, what department of the Army is in charge of British prisoners of war?
I don't know.
Number two, might you know?
That's the Provost Marshal General.
Number three, who feeds the prisoners in the British prisoners of war?
Gurkhas.
And what department does that food come from?
That's from the British Army.
Number two, what is the name of the Lama who is now occupying Lhasa under the communists, the Chinese communists?
It's the Panchen Lama.
And how do those two, how are they distinguished, the Dalai Lama and the Panchen Lama?
Well, the Dalai Lama...
Thank you.
Kept himself off with the bell. All right, Faye.
Number one, they have a rather interesting form of marriage, I believe, in Tibet. Could you tell me about it?
Well, you have every form of marriage. Polygamy, polyandry, as well as monogamy.
But polyandry is practiced in some parts of Tibet.
Yes, it is.
Did the Dalai Lama speak English? Number two, excuse me.
Yes, he did learn English, but he did not when I came there first.
Number three, did you speak English or did you speak Austrian with the Dalai Lama?
Very bad English.
Very bad English.
Johnny.
Number three, how do you address the Dalai Lama? Hi, Dal? Or...
You don't dress it. You just name it Kundan.
Number two, where is Annapurna?
Pardon?
Where is Annapurna?
Annapurna is in the Himalaya mountain.
Number one, do you agree to that?
Pardon?
Do you agree? I didn't wake you up.
Oh, yes, I agree. I agree.
What was the name of that movie Ronald Colman made? Remember when they came out with it?
Lost Horizons.
Yes.
Lost Horizons.
Lost Horizons, that was it. That's all I know about the Dalai Lama.
Kitty.
Number one, what is the name of the palace in Lhasa?
The Potala.
Number two, did you ever see an abominable snowman?
No, I didn't.
Do they exist?
Well, your guess is as good as ours.
Has any Tibetan ever seen one?
No,
They went
I
drinking.
don't think so.
Number three, how is the Dalai Lama chosen? Can you tell me quickly?
Anybody could be a Dalai Lama, chosen as a young boy with some kind of a religious omen.
Number one, does the Dalai Lama who is chosen have to be born with a caul? You know what a caul is? It's that thing that you... well, I guess I can't describe it. A veil when you're born over your head.
Oh, you mean sort of an aura?
Yes.
No.
No.
That's it, panel. We've gone right down the line. We've asked probably not as many questions as we'd like to because this is a very interesting subject. I'm sure you'll agree. But it is time for you now to mark your ballot. So will you kindly do so without consultation? And vote as you do for number one, number two, or number three. As is our custom, the team of challengers will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. Are we set?
I voted finally.
Everybody mark? All right.
I don't know any.
All set, Johnny?
Yes, I
Tom, for whom did you vote this first time?
I think my reason may seem a little obscure, but I thought that the fellas were wonderful. Really, it's a pleasure to have great liars on the show, and these guys are something, aren't they? But there was something about the way number three answered that question about being interned by the British Army, and he said, I could hear the swear words under his breath, you know, so maybe it might be he who was the prisoner of the British during the war.
Faye, how did you mark your ballot?
Well, I voted for number one. I'm probably dead wrong, but I read this book and loved it, and he just looks like the kind of man who'd write that book.
Okay. Johnny, your selection?
Just what I was going to say.
Is that amazing?
I know nothing about the Dalai Lama at all. I voted for one, just, you know, out of sheer hunch.
All right, and Kitty?
I voted for number one. I think they were all marvelous. And if you're trying to steal the show by dropping your card, go right ahead. I voted for number one on the basis of the way he said his name. I, too, read the book and I adored it. I wish I'd asked him how he escaped, because I remember you tunneled. Is that right, number
Well, now,
one?
wait a minute. Maybe you'll have time in just a minute.
I already voted.
No sneaky business. All right. The votes are in. The minds have been up. Let's see if we're right or wrong as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the one who spent 7 years in Tibet. Will the real Heinrich Harrer please stand up? All right, quickly now. How did you get out?
Over the barbed wire.
Over the barbed wire?
Disguised as a barbed wire repair squad.
That's right.
Ah,
yes.
wow, what imagination. Okay, let's find out about the other two who did so well. Number two, would you tell us your real name and what you really do?
My name is Karl H. Köpke. I'm executive at Lufthansa German Airlines here.
Thank you, sir. And finally, number three, may we have your real name and what you do?
My name is Geyzon Negi. I am the bartender in the Çağdaş Hungarian restaurant.
Well, the panel was real smart on this one. Let's see. We had Tom for number three and the rest of the three.
What did he do? He threw
$250 each. That's just a total of $250. Only one incorrect vote, gentlemen, but I hope you had fun. You also take along with you a carton of the fine products made by the makers of Anison, and we hope you enjoyed your visit to us. We certainly enjoyed and are grateful to you for coming. Good night to you and good luck. Panel, let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Marcia Schwartz. My name is Marcia Schwartz. My name is Marcia Schwartz.
Follow along once again, panel, if you will, please, with the copies of this affidavit. I, Marcia Schwartz, came to the United States as a war bride. At home, I worked in an amusement park where I ran games of chance. I am still involved in games of chance. I am a former roulette dealer and now a blackjack dealer at a famous gambling establishment in Nevada. Signed, Marcia Schwartz. Well, panel, you've heard these three young ladies, each one claiming to be Marcia Schwartz. Game of chance dealer. Let's begin this round of questioning with Johnny Carson. Johnny?
Do you deal roulette?
Beg pardon?
How do you deal roulette?
Well, suppose you ask one of our ladies.
Number one, how do you deal roulette? I didn't know there was such thing as a dealer.
Stand behind the table and you spin a ball.
Yeah. Number three, how many points in blackjack must the dealer stand on?
21.
Number two, how many points must the dealer stand on in blackjack?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood
Oh,
your question.
how many points?
17.
Number one, how many points must the dealer stand on?
On a soft 17, you must draw. Otherwise, you may stand.
Wow. number two again. What's a perfect shuffle?
Perfect
shuffle.
We don't use that term in my club. Do you have another term?
Number
Kitty, do
one,
you?
what's a soft 17?
A soft 17 is made up with an ace. You can hit it with a 10.
Is that a soft 17, number two?
Yes.
Number three, where do you deal in Nevada?
I work in Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
In
number
fact-
one, I'm sorry. Number one, where do you work?
In Reno.
Number two, where do you work?
Elko, Nevada.
Number two, where did you come from as a war bride?
China.
You learned English marvelously.
I've been here a long time.
Tom.
Well, I don't know why I assumed that Marcia Schwartz had to come from Germany. I was going to say number two must have been from Eastern Germany, obviously. Number one, please, what is it? Number one, what's a push?
It's when a player has the same amount as the dealer.
And number two, who gets it?
If you have the blackjack and the dealer has... No, if the dealer has blackjack and the customer doesn't have a blackjack but a 21, you get it. The dealer gets it.
Thank you. Number three, what are flats?
Flats? We don't use this expression. I'm sorry, I wouldn't know.
Do you happen to know, number one, what are flats in a gambling...
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Number two, do you know?
I don't either.
They rest your feet when you're tired.
Yes.
Faye Emerson.
Number one, in roulette, what does it mean on the line?
On the line is an outside bet.
Number two, what does it mean on the line in roulette?
On the line is all the bets, even or odds, black and white, 1 to 19, 19 to 36. 35, I'm sorry.
Number three, would you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Where did you play roulette in China? Number two.
I was not involved with roulette in China. I was involved with mahjong and fantan.
Ah, I see.
That's it.
I
That's
haven't
it, panel.
approved on
Just for the record, as you start to vote, they do call the expression dealing roulette. Anyone who operates one of these gambling
It's a
games is called a
dealer.
dealer
Oh, sure.
automatically.
I
That's
see.
why it's called. Okay, mark your ballots. With no further time and without consultation will you do this. Voting as you do for number one, number two, or number three.
We have to vote now, right?
You have to vote now. That's
No
right.
more questions?
No more questions.
I can't vote.
I'm guessing.
Well,
Well, that's a game of chance, after all.
quiet about it. I knew you were...
I voted.
All set, everybody? All right. Tom, for whom did you vote this time?
I voted for number two. Now, just bear with me. We're all friends here, aren't we? We're in this together. It's kind of a game. What if it isn't number two? Wasn't she wonderful to go to all the trouble of learning all that about gambling games?
Faye, your vote, please.
I voted for number two. I haven't a clue. Why? Because I didn't even know what the question meant that I asked you. I don't know.
Johnny, what about your ballot?
I voted for the girl in the cage up there. I might as well have. I'm not sure. I voted for one. Number 1.
Kitty?
I voted for number 2 on the basis of her answers, and I thought they were absolutely marvelous. And so I voted for number 2.
All right, there we have it. We have 1, 2, 3 for number 2 and just 1 for number 1. We'll see how we made out now as we check up and see who's right and wrong as we learn which one of these ladies is the real dealer of the game of chance in the gambling casino. Will the real Marcia Schwartz please stand up? You did well this time. Good fooling. See, whose was it? Who got number 1? It was Johnny.
Well, I should know. I've lost enough money on it.
You took it out soft 17s, was that it?
Right.
Well, good enough. Let's find out about the other side. Number 2.
Where does she work, Bud? Did she say?
Harold's Club in Reno, Nevada.
Harold's Club in Reno, Nevada. Okay, number 2. You got the greatest number of votes. You pulled the panel right down the line. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is G.M.O. Wong. I'm a secretary in the advertising department of Field and Stream magazine.
Thank you. And now number 3. Your real name and what you really do, please.
My name is Blanca Tucker, and I am the president of Blanca Tucker Associates Corporation. We specialize in industrial gifts.
Thank you. Well, the score shows that you really did a job on the panel that time, reversing things from the first game, and 1, 2, 3 incorrect votes at $750 total is not hard to take, I'm sure, as well as a gift package of fine products from the makers of Anison. Thank you, ladies, very much for brightening our evening so prettily. Good night. Good luck. Now, panel, may I present our third team of challengers?
What is your name, please?
My name is Bob Fisher. My name is Bob Fisher.
My name is Bob Fisher.
Follow along once more, if you will, panel, with your affidavits. I, Bob Fisher, fly sailplanes as a hobby. A sailplane is a large glider-like aircraft which depends solely on wind currents for its motive power. On June 30th, I took off from the site of the 1962 Seattle World's Fair and landed in Amityville, Long Island on August 27th. I made the trip in 31 hops, which varied from 25 miles to the 345-mile flight which took me over the Rocky Mountains. I am the first and only man to ever fly across the entire United States without a motor in free flight. Signed, Bob Fisher. Three stalwart gentlemen this time, and stalwart they would have to be to accomplish anything like that, each one claiming to be Bob Fisher, sailplane record holder, and we'll begin this round of questioning with our pretty Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, what kind of a current do you catch that would take you up over the Rocky Mountains? And how long would it take you to go 325 miles?
You catch what we call thermal currents.
And how long would it take you?
Oh, it could, about 8 hours.
8 hours. Number 2, what is the plane equipped with for an 8-hour flight?
The plane is equipped merely with about 7 instruments for guiding the pilot.
No food?
No food.
No lie-down place?
No lie-down.
No, nothing else?
Nothing else.
Number 3, how long do you have to wait to catch one of these thermal currents?
It can be any amount of time. Usually it's a reasonably short time, though.
Tom.
Thank you, Bud. Number 3, what is empennage?
Empennage is the vertical stabilizer and the horizontal stabilizers, the tail surfaces of the airplane.
Thank you. Number 2, how is a chandelle accomplished?
Chantel is a rather wild turn that is accomplished by pulling hard on the stick as you push on the right foot.
Thank you. Number 1, how does that differ from an Immelman?
Chandelle differ from an Immelman? Chandelle is a maneuver that is a diving turn with a climb, and the Immelman is a maneuver where you reverse directions overhead.
I think that's what Tom just did. He reversed directions overhead. Faye.
I'd like to know where that leaves me.
I don't know.
Number 1, what is a glider constructed of?
Various materials, wood, fabric covered or even all metal construction.
Number 3, if you captured a thermal updraft that takes you into a storm, what do you do?
You try to avoid the storm if you can by going down again instead of climbing.
Is it number 2, is it dangerous to be caught in a storm in a glider? Can you ride one out?
In certain instances, it would be dangerous, but gliders are quite stable and they're light and very maneuverable.
Johnny.
Chantel, was that correct?
Chantel.
I thought it was a magician. Number 2, what kind of a plane takes you up, gets the glider off the ground?
Tow plane, in this particular instance, it was a Piper Cub.
Number 3, what direction is 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock
Would you look to 9 o'clock for me?
Yes.
Very quickly. Number 1, where's 9 o'clock? Quick.
9 o'clock is to your left.
Sure.
Well, it may not be 9 o'clock, but it is time to mark your ballots, panel, because time is gone now. So without consultation, will you kindly do just that? And as you do so, vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked? Johnny, all marked?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody set?
Yes,
Tom, for whom did you vote this time?
I voted for number 3, Bud. Somebody slipped me the card that I threw away after the first one.
Faye.
I voted for number 3 because I couldn't understand a word he said. It sounded right to me.
And Johnny, your selection?
I voted for the girl in the cage again. No, I voted for number 2 this time because of that discussion of that implement. That sounded pretty good to me.
Kitty.
I voted for number 1. I'm sure they're all aviators or connected with aviation because they're marvelous. But I voted for number 1 because his eyes look like the eyes of a man who's constantly looking at the far horizon, rather like a sea captain. Come on.
Either that or he's drunk.
They all have that look of a man who's been looking out. Well, that's...
Nearsighted. Very well, panel. Good sound reasoning. That's what I like about this group. Good
romantic.
sound
Kitty is...
reasoning. All right, here we go again to find out where we land this sailplane of ours in the matter of truth. And as we do that, we'll discover which one of these gentlemen is the real one, of course. So, will the real Bob Fisher please stand up? Mr. Fisher, I think if you could stay a few moments after the show, Kitty would like to look into your eyes a little more deeply. Let's check on the other 2. Number 2, you fooled the panel. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Bill Carty. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, and I'm advertising manager for DuPont's antifreezes.
And now we come to number 3, who got 2 of the votes. What is your real name and what do you do, sir?
My name is Arthur Prager, and I'm a doctoral candidate in public administration at New York University.
Well, we check up on our own particular thermal drafts here right now. We find there were 3 of them, 3 incorrect votes at $250 each. So like the team before you, you have won a total of $750. Gentlemen, not bad. For an evening of pleasure, which we hope we gave you, you gave us one. And, of course, you also take along with you from Anison a gift package with fine products from the makers of Anison. And thank you again for being with us. Good night and happy sailing. Thank you very much, panel, for being the elegant people that you always are. It was a joy to have you with us, Faye.
Thank you, Bob.
And I think we all ought to say a very warm good night to Maury Rose up there. Good night, Maury Rose. See you later tonight on I've Got a Secret. Well, panel, don't get caught in any thermal drafts. Good night to you.
Good night, Bob.
Bud Collier saying good night from Anison and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Kaufman production.
To Tell the Truth was pre-recorded on videotape.
The name of our mailbox is Porter.
To our friends, we're Pete and Gladys.
And we're at home next on most of these stations.
Drop in.